All right, so today we are building upon what we talked about yesterday, which was how to hold the success you desire. And today we're going to be talking about how to stop saying no to the life that you want. There is a moment that happens every time an opportunity that is meant for you presents itself. Your body knows before your mind catches up. You feel the expansion, the possibility, the excitement. And then what often happens is you almost automatically shrink away from it. And what causes us to do that is fear. And fear doesn't always feel like a scream or that pit in your stomach. Sometimes it feels like rationalization. Sometimes it delays. Sometimes it quietly talks you out of everything you want. And that is a really hard pill for us to swallow, that it is oftentimes our fear that is holding us back from what our next level of success or fulfillment looks like. And the real reason that so many of us say no to an opportunity is not because we aren't ready. It's because we don't trust ourselves to handle what comes next. And yesterday we talked about what it looks like to really expand your nervous system to hold more success. And what today is about is really noticing all of the ways in which you are the one who's saying no to the life that you want. So not trusting yourself can sound like asking, what if I mess up? What if I'm not enough? What if I get hurt? What if it falls apart? What if I fail? What if someone gets mad at me? All of those questions that we ask ourselves. And when we ask them over and over again, or we ask too many of them, we talk ourselves out of the thing that we want to do without realizing that it's coming from a place of fear because it feels like the rational things to do. It feels like the safer thing to do. And not only are we saying no to that opportunity, but we are also then holding ourselves back from any growth. But we call it being practical. How many of you feel like, oh, I'm just practical, and that's why I haven't made this next move or I haven't taken that next step? I know so many of us really fall into that where it's like it just doesn't make sense. But it doesn't make sense for what? For the small life that we are living right now, but it certainly makes sense for the big vision that we have for ourselves. Now, what I have realized from doing this work is that in a positive way, we are often much better at recognizing an intuitive no. And I think a lot of women don't listen to that no inside, and we end up saying yes to people pleasing, or we get our self in situations we're not happy with. But I think more of us are good at recognizing that intuitive no because we will have that visceral feeling in our body. And I love that for us. I love that we're listening to that intuitive no, but we are much more hesitant to move on an intuitive yes. So I'm curious if you have noticed that about yourself. And if you want to let me know in the chat, do so, whether you're watching this live or on the replay. And if you haven't noticed that about yourself, when you leave here, start thinking about, are you better able to recognize an intuitive no in your body versus an intuitive yes? And what does it actually feel like to recognize when something feels like a yes versus a no? The other question that I want you to ask yourself is, when an opportunity shows up for you, what is your default? Do you lean in with trust and curiosity, or do you shut down with fear and overthinking? And a very powerful way to answer that for ourselves is to think about something that you often replay in your mind of something you wanted to do that you said no to. Is there an opportunity that you missed out on that you really wanted to? And when you think about it, was it the right decision to say yes, to say no, or would the less fearful decision have been to say yes? And I'm not talking about those things like I was saying before, where it's like it just wasn't meant for you. Maybe you had like there was a part of you that wanted it, but ultimately you knew it was a no. I'm talking about those moments that something was actually a yes, but you didn't say yes to it. Instead, for whatever reason, said no to it. Those are the moments that I really want you to think about, because it's in those moments where we are continuing to say no to the life that we want. So there, I think is at least one person on here, yes, who heard this conversation in our mastermind coaching call yesterday. So you're gonna have to hear this again. But I think it's really powerful. So I want to share it with you, because we all know what it feels like to play smaller than we are. So I don't have any tattoos. I know at least two of my friends on this call do. Because one told me yesterday, and I've seen one of my other friends' tattoos. So I don't have any tattoos. But there was a point a couple years ago where I just was not feeling my best, in a lot of ways. I wasn't feeling my best physically. I wasn't looking my best. I wasn't feeling my best emotionally, and I was saying no to opportunities that I wanted. But really worse than that is I knew that if a big opportunity had presented itself to me, I wouldn't have said yes to it. So I had these customized like fake tattoos made up, and I had one that said immediate yes, and I would put it on the inside of my wrist, and I would remind myself every time I would look at it to take action steps to make myself an immediate yes. And what that meant for me is if an opportunity presented itself to me that I was so excited about, I did not want to be the reason that I said no, either because I was worried about that I would be too stressed out, or I was worried about how I looked, or I was worried about what someone would think of me. I didn't want my own fears to be the thing that held me back from other opportunities. There are enough other things that stand in our way of the incredible opportunities that we want for ourselves, that I just could no longer live with myself, that my fear was the thing that was holding me back. So I put this little tattoo on the inside of my wrist, and I started showing up in ways and taking action steps so that I could become that person. And I have. And I very rarely say, I mean, I don't anymore say no to an opportunity that I know is a yes for me, or something that is really exciting, or something that in the past would have stressed me out. For example, I've just got back from like a stretch of back-to-back travel, whereas in the past I've said no to travel opportunities because I just didn't feel like I could handle it. And I wanted to create a life where that was not the situation anymore. So I want to share a few stories around this immediate yes concept. So when I was at a retreat for other female entrepreneurs a few weeks ago, I ran into a woman who I had used to coach, and she looked amazing. She looked so hot, but not just how she looked, like her attitude was so magnetic and so appealing. And she said, I was like, oh my God, you look amazing. And she said that she had taken my immediate yes concept to heart, and she started investing in how she looked and how she felt, in new clothes and Botox, but just generally working on herself and feeling better, not just the external. But I'm not shy to say that when we focus on the external, we do feel better, and vice versa. When we focus on the internal, we look better. And she had invested in herself, and she was feeling great, and her business was doing well. And that in and of itself would have been enough. And then she was presented with an opportunity to be on a TV show, and she immediately said yes to it. And I don't think it's a coincidence that she had done the work to make herself an immediate yes, and then the opportunity presented itself to her. That's just how the universe works for us. You take the action steps, and then the universe responds. And I was talking on the mastermind call yesterday about two other examples of not waiting for things to make sense and for you to be ready. Because so many times we rationalize ourselves out of now being the right time. We say, like, if this happens or when I do that, it'll be the right time. And one of the women who I coach works in the healthcare space, or she was working in for a government agency in the healthcare space. And she, through our coaching, started a business. She like didn't even, her business was like a concept, and she started it, and she had an idea in mind for how many clients she would need to have in her not just in her pipeline, but actual clients she was working with before she could leave her full-time job. She was able to hit that milestone and leave it. And thank goodness she did it when she did, because now with everything going on with the government cuts in healthcare, she was still consulting for the organization that she had worked for full time because when she left them, they were like, no, we want you. So she was able to bring them on as a client versus working for full time and working for them full time. And she just had to let 13 people go in the organization. So either she would have lost her job or would be in an organization with 13 less team members and would have been so unhappy. But because she said yes to starting her business when she did, she is now in an amazing spot. And for me personally, when I started the G&G home organizing membership, the organizing membership that I run, I started it before I was even ready. And I've shared this story multiple times. I pre-sold it. And in the first week of selling it, we sold 300 spots in the membership. I brought in $30,000 in cash that first week, just of like from like pay in full members, not even to mention the recurring revenue that was going to come in for a product that I hadn't even built yet. That was in January of 2020. And then 3 months later, the world shut down with COVID. And that membership, not only from a business perspective, became an incredible way that we really grew our business and the revenue of our business, but we impacted so many people's lives because we were able to all come together when we were stuck in our homes and get our houses and our lives organized. And I still run that membership today, and it's an incredible membership. But had I not started it when I did, if I was waiting for, I don't know what, right, until everything felt right, if I had been scared to say yes to doing it, it would not be where it is now. So there is this idea of becoming an immediate yes, but also taking the action steps that you need to take right now, every day. You don't have to wait until you are at that place you want to be to start saying yes. You take the action steps and then the universe responds. So my goal in sharing those stories with you is that these are all such different stories, but they all have the same theme of you have to say yes before you're ready. You have to go for it. You have to take the action steps. Otherwise, you're going to look back and realize that you were single-handedly responsible for saying no to the life that you want. And this is not about beating ourselves up over missed opportunities. I think reflecting on decisions that we've made in the past is helpful so it can inform the choices that we are making going forward. It's never helpful if you're going to beat yourself up over it. That's never what this is about. I always say you can't hate yourself into the person you want to be. You become her by loving yourself into her. You become her by saying yes, even before you feel fully ready. So this is not about beating ourselves up, but it's taking an honest look at where have we said no, where have we played small, and where do we need to really start saying yes to the things that we are scared of. And for all of those stories that I just referenced, all of those incredible women and myself, there were no guarantees for any of us that anything was going to work out the way we wanted to. We had no idea. You look back in hindsight and it makes perfect sense. And these all seemed like great decisions, but we all could have fallen flat on our faces. And it's not to say that any of us had a straight line, but it shows you the power of saying yes and making bold moves so that you can create the life that you want. So I offered up on yesterday's call the opportunity for anyone to come up and be coached live if there was any sticking point. And no one took me up on it, which I get because it is in front of a lot of people and it's going to be reposted. But I do want to give an opportunity if anyone is feeling brave and wants to be coached either on camera or the chat, at least on Zoom, is not going to be made public. So if anyone has a specific question that you feel stuck on or where you recognize that you are making yourself the immediate no and not the immediate yes, then drop the question in the chat box and I would be happy to coach you in real time on it. And while I'm waiting to see if anyone drops a question in, I want to remind everyone that I am starting a brand new mastermind for the month of May. It is a very high touch mastermind. The first week, we're going to meet for one call and one Telegram coaching day. And the subsequent weeks in May each have two coaching calls and two Telegram Voxer days. So this is a super high touch mastermind. It's going to be a very small group. And The women who are coming into the mastermind are those who are already becoming the women that they want to be and know that the next step is more self-trust. That listening to their intuition and trusting themselves more deeply is going to be the thing that allows them to unlock the next level. And for those of you who have worked with me for a while, you know I've been very focused on strategy in the past. That's not what this mastermind is. There's always pieces of strategy that I bring into all the work that we do, whether it's life or business. But this is really more about how do we learn to trust ourselves, to get out of our own way so that we can unlock the big expansions, because I can give you all the strategy you could possibly desire. But if it's not coupled with this piece, there will always be places where you are holding yourself back. And we are done with that. We are leaving that behind, and we are becoming our favorite versions of ourselves in 2025. So I don't see anyone that has any specific coaching question. You've got one more opportunity for live coaching with me if you've never been in any of my containers. And I know that I think everyone on the Zoom is already in the Vibe coaching program or one of my other masterminds. So you all get an opportunity to get coaching from me anyway. So I understand. And I can't actually see who's watching on Facebook. So you've got one more opportunity tomorrow where I will be sharing our final session of this Tapping into Your Intuition series. And tomorrow's call is about how your intuition never left you. If you are someone who feels like your intuition has been super blocked for a long time, and that's where I was, and that's the whole reason I've started talking about this, because I felt like, oh my gosh, I've mastered all the strategy, I've mastered the mindset, I've mastered the energetics. Where is my intuition? Like, where is it? I'm waiting for it. Where are you? And it was this rediscovering process of realizing that it had never left. So that's what we're going to talk about. How do you tap back into your intuition so that you are not the reason that you are not where you want to be in any area of business or life. So I will see you back here tomorrow, either on Zoom or on Facebook for our final session. You're amazing and you're gorgeous. And Kim, who just turned on her camera, who no one else is going to see, but I see, looking beautiful as always. All right, ladies, I will see you tomorrow. Have a great one.